Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is Spongy here. Today we're having a look at this 2023 GMC Yukon Denali. This is a luxury house on wheels. Huge thanks to ClearShift for letting me review this car today. I'm gonna put a link down in the description to their full inventory, including this gorgeous 2023 Yukon Denali. So what we're gonna do in this video is I wanna talk about this design, specifically comparing to the previous generation, which I thought was one of the best looking, classy, stately, full-size SUVs out there, and what changes they did to the front, side, and rear, also the interior, and then we're gonna take it for a drive. There are a couple of things, one thing in the front end and one thing in the rear that I would like to redesign, and I'm gonna let you know about that in just a minute. Let's start with the front end design of the 2023 Yukon Denali. I love this face. This is a typical big, full-size luxury SUV face. We have a lot of horizontal lines, a lot of vertical lines, creating this stately look. And we also have these. These are brand new for 2021 when this model came out. And I really like how they kind of morphed the old headlights into these new ones to get it in line with what GMC is doing now when it comes to design philosophy. Super clean C-shape, which creates a strong brand identity for the front end. And we also have these 3 units, headlight LED units in the inside of the headlights assembly. And we have the LED fog lights down here with a functional air vent on the side to reduce drag of this massive horizontal and vertical front end. One detail though that I would like to redesign off the front end of the Yukon, there are actually 2 things. First thing, we have this piece down here. This is just matte black, cheap looking plastic, and I don't think it suits the GMC Yukon Denali to have this type of treatment in the lower part. It looks like a fake grille here. There are no openings here. You might think there are because we have these 2 slots here. This is actually just a plastic piece that looks a little cheap in the front end. What I would like to do is just have these 2 slots be open. I just don't think that would be such a huge deal to make, and I think it would look a lot better, and it would also reduce drag in the front end. Another detail I think would be interesting to experiment with when it comes to design of the GMC Yukon is this C-shape here. I do like it. I'm not so sure about this angle right here because I kind of want to have it go almost horizontal because we have the horizontal line here, horizontal lines here, but this is the only piece in the front end in the key graphics that has this angle to it. So what if we tilted this up just a little bit and maybe have it meet the grille in an angle right here in a corner of the grille? I think that would be an interesting look, maybe even make it look more stately than what it is because we're adding horizontal lines to the already existing ones. Other than that, I love the housing for this. I love the chamfer that goes around from going from thin and creating this thicker chamfer right here at the base. We also have another chamfer on the inside here, and of course this big flat panel looks super clean, and it makes the headlight feel like it definitely belongs here because it has so many framings all around it. We got to talk about this massive grille that we have on the Yukon. I think it actually suits this car to have a big grille like this. This car overall is just, everything is huge on it, so I think having this huge grille in the front end suits it. We have the front facing camera hidden right here. You can barely see it, but it's in one of these slots right underneath the GMC logo. On the GMC Denali Ultimate, you have this being black, and you also have this chrome being in like a darker chrome, which I think looks so good. It's called Dark Vader, the trim of that. I love the name. Then we have these indents in the outline of the framing of the grille as well as on top here, which is typical for GMC. And these lines then go into a very muscular looking hood that also suits the overall design of the Yukon. Having a look at this massive side view of the Yukon Denali, I love this side profile as well because it takes that stateliness that we have in the front end and applies it to the side view. Just have a look at this very sharp shoulder line starting from the very corner, top corner of the headlight, going all the way back here to, guess what, to the corner of the taillight right here. Very nicely done. And I also love that we don't have any plastic pieces or trim pieces going around the wheel arches. Creates for a very classy look. We have the same trim treatment like we have down here in the front end of the grille, the chrome treatment. Personally, as I said, I prefer the a little bit darker ones, but I do like this line right here, and I think you can see it clearly in the sunshine how this carves out some mass at the lower part, makes it look a little more nimbler than what it is, and how it goes from thin right here and then grows a little bit and fades into the front end fender. It's a beautiful touch. And down here we have this automatic side step that pops up when you open the doors, adding to that luxury luxury feel. I love how they're tucked in beautifully in the side. The wheels, these are actually 22-inch wheels, and the width of them are 275s. But looking at the overall proportions of this big SUV, they kind of look a little small. But I think the overall design of the spokes look great. They have this classy feel to them that kind of suits the overall vibe of this SUV. And I'm not sure if I would switch these wheels out, because this is all about comfort. It's not really about going off-road. If you want to go off-road, you go for the AT4 version. One little design feature, graphic feature that I think they could have probably skipped on the Yukon is this little badge here. I'm not sure, it just feels like it doesn't belong in the otherwise very clean side profile of the Yukon. Love the big side mirrors that we have here in this white pearlescent color. One detail I love about this area is this treatment of the C-pillar. I love the angle. We have some nice chamfers going around it. We also have almost like a second little shoulder line here cutting in to this area. They could have chosen to just have this curvature following the same line, but they cut this line going in and cutting into this C-pillar, which is a nice touch as well. And look at this window treatment. There's no trim going around the window. A very clean look, because we don't have these pieces around the rear window in this case, creating this nice, clean, solid look. We have this trim piece as well, continuing up top almost to the end. It just stops a little bit right before the end point of the rear. So coming around to the rear end of the Yukon Denali, and usually I start up top, but in this case I'm going to start down here. I love what's going on in the lower part with these big quad tailpipes. Thank you GMC for keeping them visible in this SUV. I think it suits this luxury SUV to have the power from that 6.2 liter V8 up front visible, some visible elements of what's going on in the front end in the rear, and I think that's happening here with these quad tailpipes. We don't have a big diffuser here. It's very classy, no fins and stuff like that. That as well wouldn't really suit this type of luxury SUV. And up top, we have this gorgeous chamfer kind of housing everything that goes on up top above this chamfer. It creates a nice base for it. And we also have these C-shaped taillights coming back, similar to what we have in the front end. But here they kind of squish them in a little bit to not have them cut in too much into the trunk. We do have it cutting in the top, which I think adds to separating this from, for example, the Chevy Tahoe. Another detail I want to say thank you to GMC for adding to the Yukon is that they hid the rear windshield wiper. It's up here, well inside this spoiler, and you can't see it. If I stand here, I can barely see it from this angle. Instead of having it mounted right here center, and then we have the ugly wiper being visible, this creates a much more classy look. Then we have this chrome piece again coming back in the rear like we have all around the car. As I said, on the Ultimate, this is blacked out, and we have the rear view camera right here. I would probably want to move this handle to be somewhere here. It's not going to give you this much leverage, but I'm not sure I like the integration of the door handle as it looks right now. Welcome to the interior of the 2023 Yukon Denali, and this is a place where you really want to spend a lot of time. It's so nice in here, and I feel like I'm sitting inside of a living room or something. There's so much space in here. We have a 12-inch gauge cluster, and we have a 10-inch infotainment screen right here. And I think this size, this is 10.2 inches. This is the perfect size for me. I don't need a 14-inch small TV on the dash. I think this is absolutely perfect in size, and it fits the overall design of the interior as well, kind of following the flow. And look at the integration of this thing. It has a nice chrome framing around it with this wood trim on the side for the gear selectors here. Just beautiful interior with the vents being completely visible up here and easy to use. As I said before, I think the screens should be a complement or a supplement to the main functions of the car, and that's exactly what we have here as well. We have the controls for the stereo, we have the controls for the climate, being all physical buttons and dials and knobs, exactly what I want to see. And it makes it so much easier to use when you have this kind of setup when you're driving on the highway, for example. We have wireless charging down here, some storage for the cup holders here, and this massive, absolutely massive armrest storage, which you can actually move back and forth. And last but not least, we have a proper sized glove box right here. One thing that I would change on the interior here is the steering wheel. I think the steering wheel design looks a little bit too dated for me. We do have some cool technology integrated in the steering wheel. This is the light for the autopilot cruise control. It's not fully automatic, but this is what gives you some information about that. On the left side of the steering wheel, we have the selection for the transmission. If you want a 4 auto, 4 high, 4 low, or 2-wheel drive. You have all the controls for the cameras, the parking sensors, the hill descent, and so on. this is a pretty interesting integration of the gear selectors right here. So how you select what you want to do, reverse, neutral, parking, drive, you pop these up like this, which is a pretty interesting integration, and it only works for the reverse and drive. The neutral and the parking are actually buttons, so it doesn't have a nice consistency to it. Just a pretty weird integration. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Overall, this is a fantastic interior. We have a nice housing for the gauge cluster, beautiful integration of the infotainment screen, and we have this beautiful wood trim on the doors and also here that adds to this quality feel of this interior, and this feels like actual wood as well. Up top we have a big panoramic sunroof, something that I don't really care about, and we can also make this whole space disappear by covering them with these gorgeous wood panels right here. Another detail that adds to the simplicity of this interior. Climbing in to the second row seats, super comfy, and just look at all the legroom I have here. I mean, this is as I said, this is a luxury house on wheels basically. Here you have a screen, infotainment for the passengers. You can check out Hulu, YouTube, or you can plug in your own HDMI stuff to get some entertainment back here while you're a passenger in this Yukon. Overall, super comfy seats, captain seats on the second row with this sturdy armrest, which is actually the right size. So it's not one of those very thin ones that a lot of car manufacturers put in their cars. And down here you have the HDMI slot and the USB-C with some additional controls for the climate in the back seat. Well, here we are, guys, setting off in the 2023 Yukon Denali. Up front we have a massive naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8 putting out about 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. The first thing you notice when you jump in here is just how smooth this ride is, and I'm not surprised by that. It is a big SUV, big luxury SUV. So you have the competition. That's the Chevy Tahoe, you have the Cadillac Escalade, you have the Lincoln Navigator. Which one of those would you pick? Personally, based on design only, so I'm not talking about anything else but the exterior design, I love the new Chevy Tahoe because it has this cut in the hood, and underneath that cut is where all the graphics start for the front end. I do prefer that styling a little bit more than here, but underneath the hood here, let's talk about this Yukon and what we have under the hood. We have a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8, a big V8 under the hood, 0 to 60 about 6.2 seconds. MSRP for this Denali starts around $83,000, and you have four-wheel drive as well, connected to a 10-speed automatic transmission. I love the head-up display in this. It's like when you want it to be there, it's there, but it doesn't intrude on the visibility of the car, and you have so many adjustments for it down here. You can adjust it up and down, you can adjust what you want to see in it, and you can adjust the brightness, of course. But it is such a comfortable drive. This is a car where you can drive cross-country, no problems, not get tired. It swallows up everything that you have on the road, and it does have the power as well with that big 6.2 V8 up front, and I love that we have the quad exhausts in the rear. One weird thing that I feel when I'm driving this Yukon is that the brake pedal is very spongy. It's very soft, and you have to, you kind of feel it starting to grip a little bit, and then you need to push harder for it to really start gripping. It's an interesting feel in the brake pedal that I don't think I necessarily have felt before. Let's check out the turning radius in this house. Not bad, actually. I don't have to do a 3-step or 3-point turn just to turn around the lanes. Pretty decent for what it is. I like this type of vehicles because I think there is a specific niche for this type of vehicle, specifically when it comes to the styling. They all look very stately, both the Cadillac Escalade, the Tahoe, the Navigator. They all had this presence to them, enhanced by their stately and horizontal vertical designs. Which one would I buy? I would probably go with a nicely spec'd out Chevy Tahoe. It costs less than this, and honestly, I do prefer the design of the Tahoe a little bit more than I do the GMC Yukon. And that's my review of the 2023 GMC Yukon Denali. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this type of videos, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.